breaking down how every winner won Survivor in 60 seconds or less. It's time to break down how Richard won Survivor Borneo. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Richard confidently saying he'll win Survivor.
But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner.
Creating tension as Richard builds the first alliance with the Tuggy 4. We then see him walking around naked to get some alone time. And knowing about Sean's alphabet voting strategy, the Tuggy 4 decide to stick together and vote for whoever he's voting for. Richard famously steps down at the final immunity challenge, knowing that Kelly and Rudy would take him to the final. And just like that,
the winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich.
It's time to break down how Tina won Survivor the Australian Outback. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Tina being the sweet southern motherly figure.
Would have been picked off one by one. No doubt about it.
At first, she feels bad for snooping around tribe mate's bag for beef jerky, but starts playing the game hard with a last-minute scramble with Colby to vote Mitchell out. Wanting only the most deserving to be in the game, takes out Amber and Jerry. Tina prioritized making relationships as Colby decides to take her to the final two. And just like that,
the winner of Survivor, the Australian Outback.
it's time to break down how Ethan won Survivor Africa. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Ethan being the nice guy around camp, but starts playing the game hard, forming an alliance with Lex and Big Tom. Being beloved by the community, everyone remembers Ethan playing hacky sack on the Village Reward Challenge. At the final four, he tells Lex that Big Tom wants to get him out, convincing Lex to betray his ally. And just like that,
the winner of Survivor Africa.
it's time to break down how Vesepia won Survivor Marquesas. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Vesepia being a member of one of the worst performing tribes in Survivor history, but starts playing the game hard, forming an alliance with Boston Rob and Sean Rector. The perfect immunity challenge at the final 9, highlighting the pecking order, allowed Vesepia a chance to convince players on the bottom to work with her. At the final 4, Vesepia comes in clutch with her personal item, keeping a journal of her tribe mate's personal life.
Immunity tonight, then I'll be here another night. If I don't win immunity tonight, I'll probably be the one to go.
And just like that,
the winner of Survivor Marquesas.
it's time to break down how Brian won Survivor Thailand. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Brian going on a business trip and being the least emotional Survivor player of all time.
Mr. Freeze is in the house.
The key for Brian was forming super tight alliances with everyone in the final 5, and slowly blindsiding them one after another as they all thought Brian was their #1 ally. At the final 3, comes in clutch, winning immunity and taking a goat to the finish. And then,
the winner of Survivor Thailand, Brian.
it's time to break down how Jenna won Survivor the Amazon. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Jenna forming a close friendship with Heidi, where they would eventually take their clothes off for some peanut butter. At the final 12, gets a special reward for being the youngest woman remaining. However, Jenna starts to feel sick and missing her mom, causing her to want to quit and giving up immunity. But she comes in clutch near the finish line, winning back-to-back immunity challenges. And just like that,
the winner of Survivor Amazon.
it's time to break down how Sandra won Survivor Pearl Islands. We first get introduced to Sandra creating the famous Anyone But Me Survivor strategy, and starts playing the game hard, forming an alliance with Rupert and Krista. Perfecting her Anyone But Me strategy has her ally Krista take the fall. And at the final 5, comes in clutch, bringing the girls together to blindside Burton.
I can get loud too!
And just like that,
the winner of Survivor Pearl Islands.
it's time to break down how Amber won Survivor All-Stars. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Amber connecting with Boston Rob on day 1. The key is being the lesser of two evils, as Rob made it clear he was the bad guy. Amber was in trouble and could have been voted out, however Lex protected her, only to get brutally blindsided afterwards. The alliance in the game turned into a real moment when
you're the most amazing person I've ever met in my entire life. I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
And just like that,
the winner of Survivor All-Stars.
it's time to break down how Chris won Survivor Vanuatu. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Chris fully blowing the first challenge, almost making him the first voted out. And Chris was happy this season was broken into men versus women because he believed he can outsmart all the men. Chris was the final man standing, however the woman would reveal the pecking order, allowing him to work his way in. This dude is able to deliver the best final tribal council performance in Survivor history. And just like that,
Winner of Survivor Vanuatu.
It's time to break down how Tom won Survivor Palau. And like always, we're gonna be counting down on the big moments that are found. Tom's Survivor story is super unique as he didn't need to play the game until the merge because his tribe kept winning. And this is where we saw Tom become the leader and provider of his tribe.
Survival aspect of it is more real than I ever imagined.
Tom's win was truly dominating as the final chance to vote him out was at the final 6. Eventually, we saw the longest challenge in Survivor history with Tom and Ian battling it out for over 11 hours. And just like that,
Winner of Survivor Palau.
it's time to break down how Danny won Survivor Guatemala. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We were never truly introduced to Danny as she's the most forgotten winner in Survivor history and would purposely hide things from Jeff Probe. After the merge, Danny focused on building an alliance with the power players and hide behind them. At the final 3, comes in clutch, winning immunity. And just like that,
The winner of Survivor Guatemala.
it's time to break down how Aris won Survivor Exile Island. And like always, we're gonna be counting down on the big moments that are found. Early in the game, Aris would become the leader of the iconic Kasaya tribe of crazy people.
This place breeds bad luck.
And with the help of Sari is able to pull off the amazing 3-2-1 blindside. Down the stretch, the only thing in Aris's way was Terry's challenge dominance, but finally Aris was able to win. Aris trips on a rock in a full-out accident and almost leaves the game on day 39. But somehow,
Winner of Survivor Exile Island.
it's time to break down how Yule won Survivor Cook Islands. This is truly the ultimate underdog story as Yule was the master of being cool, calm, and collected. However, the only diss against Yule's win was that he won the game with the help of finding a hidden immunity idol on day 2. The issue is this wasn't any normal idol, this was a super idol that he leveraged at the final 9 to blackmail Jonathan Penner to work with him. Yule would have tough competition at the very end with battling Ozzy for the ultimate decision of physical strength versus strategic strength.
Yule, who dominated strategically like maybe nobody else ever has. Ozzy, who dominated physically, fair to say, like nobody ever has.
And just like that,
The winner of Survivor Cook Islands.
it's time to break down how Earl won Survivor Fiji. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Earl being part of the worst performing tribe in Survivor history. Yowman and Earl work together to find the hidden immunity idol. Anyway, Earl delivers one of the best blindside reactions of all time after taking out the 4 horsemen. Near the end of the game, Earl was in no true danger as he was locked in socially with every single player left. And just like that, Earl becomes the first unanimous Survivor winner.
Winner of Survivor Fiji.
It's time to break down how Todd won Survivor China. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Todd going into game mode from day 1 and continues playing the game hard, forming an alliance with Amanda and James. Pulls off one of the most iconic blindsides of all time, voting out James with 2 hidden immunity idols. At the final tribal council, comes in clutch with the best speech in Survivor history.
I had to backstab and I had to hurt people that I cared about. And the main thing I can ask tonight is that you are able to see the difference between my strategic game and the relations that I actually built with you. Because the relations on a personal level, honest, real. The game level, the strategic level, is what I came here to do.
And just like that,
Winner of Survivor China.
My second time. I'm not coming back here to starve and be miserable. I came into this game with a previous reputation from the Cook Islands as the flirt.
it's time to break down how Parvati won Survivor fans versus favorites. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Parvati is without a doubt the most iconic female Survivor player of all time. We first get introduced to Parvati being a huge flirt, controlling the guys around her like Ozzy and James. But the key to her success was forming an alliance with all the girls and creating the Black Widow Brigade. With so many big moves and blindsides, taking out Ozzy, Jason, and Eric in all explosive ways.
I want to give individual immunity to Natalie.
You're crazy. You officially go down as the dumbest survivor ever in the history of Survivor ever.
And finally,
The winner of Survivor fans versus favorites.
Bob, the 57-year-old high school physics teacher, the last of the old Coda tribe.
The next one to go is Bob, so Bob shouldn't be worried.
Hey, Bob, it's just one reward. He would have been voted out a long time ago if he hadn't gone on an amazing winning streak. Bob, score!
it's time to break down how Bob won Survivor Gabon. We first get introduced to Bob being the oldest winner in Survivor history, getting to create the starting tribes, creating tension throughout the season as Bob was always on the bottom of the majority alliance. But with tons of surprises up his sleeve, Bob turned into a challenge beast as well as an expert at making fake hidden immunity idols.
This is not a hidden immunity idol.
At the final 4, Sugar gave Bob one last chance and ties the vote to give him a chance at beating Maddie in a fire-making duel. And finally,
The winner of Survivor Gabon.
It's time to break down how JT won Survivor Token Shins, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to JT as the country boy with an amazing social game, eventually leading him to the first ever Survivor perfect game. JT navigates through the game with the help of a tight duo alliance with Steven Fishback as the nerd and country boy work together. After the merge, JT bounces between the Warrior Alliance and the Exile Alliance with the likes of Coach and Tyson to stay out of trouble. Steven ran out of chances to vote JT out of the game as he wins every immunity challenge from the final 5 onward. And finally,
the winner of Survivor Token Shins.
I know I could beat Russell in the very end because I would say a lot of other people in the tribe have really been rubbed the wrong way by him. So I'm just trying to not ruffle feathers, steer clear, build good relationships, which is what I'm good at.
It's time to break down how Natalie won Survivor Samoa, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Natalie is the most invisible winner in Survivor history as Russell Hantz takes up the majority of the screen time. Natalie is known for being a social player and ultimately more likable than Russell Hantz. And I want to be more likable than Russell Hantz as well. Please subscribe as I'm on the road to passing him on YouTube. We then see Natalie kill a rat. Although the final 3 all came from the same tribe, Natalie will be the least disliked compared to Mick and Russell Hantz. And finally,
the winner of Survivor Samoa, Natalie.
Russell's keeping me around because I'll never get a single vote. But I don't know about that.
It's time to break down how Sandra won Survivor Heroes vs. Villains. We first get introduced to Sandra on the Villains tribe.
Sandra, winner from Boston Bob, the loser.
The alliance fails due to Tyson, however, Sandra survives by playing sneaky.
I told Russell that Coach was talking about voting for him, and Russell's so stupid. He ate that crap up. I'm telling you, he's like, oh my God, I can't trust him.
At the merge, wants to work with the heroes, but it just doesn't work out.
I should be with the heroes, because I can't stand Jerry. I hate Coach. I hate Danielle. I hate Russell even more. So any of those 4, I'm not going to pick one above the other because I equally hate them all.
Although Sandra hates Russell Hantz, she knows it'll be easy to beat him. And finally,
the winner of Survivor Heroes vs. Villains, Sandra.
Deeper than just, oh, haha, let's keep him around because he's funny. It's like hermit crab on my foot.
It's time to break down how Fabio won Survivor Nicaragua. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Let's all be honest with ourselves, it's Fabio. But at the end of the day, he's the youngest winner ever, so put some respect on his name. Creating tension as Fabio is never in control of the game, but always having fun.
These are my people. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
We then see the double quit of Purple Kelly and Nyanka move Fabio up a couple spots. Fabio's most impressive feat was going on an immunity challenge streak, winning the last 3 challenges.
Fabio has it! Fabio wins immunity!
And finally,
the winner of Survivor Nicaragua, Fabio.
Boston Rob has proven his ability to help a tribe not only in challenges, but in camp life. He has played 3 times. He's made it to the final once. He has never won.
It's time to break down how Boston Rob won Survivor Redemption Island. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Let's all be honest with ourselves, this was such a hype way starting the season with Boston Rob versus Russell Hantz. Boston Rob gave us one of the most dominating wins in Survivor history. The only issue is that it happened on his 4th time playing Survivor. Rob's biggest move all season came with the merge as he blindsided Matt and flushed out the other tribe's hidden immunity idol.
First of all, he has the audacity to think that he's going to come up with a plan to vote me out. And then the stupidity to tell me that.
In one of the most iconic moments in Survivor history, we see Rob carrying his family on his back. And finally,
winner of Survivor Redemption Island.
Where is there strategic value in switching? Let me finish.
You don't care about people in the game.
Listen, wait, let me.
It's time to break down how Sophie won Survivor South Pacific. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. I'm gonna be honest, Sophie had a straight path to the finish line with the Cult Alliance having members like Coach and Brandon Hantz.
I ask that you would give us a victory in that next challenge in Jesus' name.
Scariest moment in the game was at the merge, but with convincing Cochran a flip, Sophie would be in the majority all season. That straightforward game meant voting out the opposing tribe, followed by the outsiders of her alliance. No need to make big moves for Sophie. And if you're a huge fan of Ozzy, this is tough to watch as Sophie would beat him during the final immunity challenge.
Sophie with her 7th piece, 1 piece left. Coach turns to watch now. Ozzy still fighting. Sophie wins final immunity.
And finally,
winner of Survivor South Pacific, Sophie.
You
played this game better than anyone else out here, and I'm lucky that you and I developed a friendship that we had each other's backs. I feel the same way.
The fourth time in this game, you've won individual immunity. You have dominated the individual portion of this game.
It's time to break down how Kim won Survivor One World. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. If you don't think Kim is a dominating Survivor winner, well, you are crazy, as this is possibly the strongest win in Survivor history.
I didn't plan to form an alliance right off the bat. I was just gonna lay low.
If you love Kim's Survivor performance, make sure to like the video. As the game progressed, Kim only grew stronger in the game as the tribe swap gave her a chance to form an alliance with the men and the women. And that meant at the merge, Kim used the men as numbers to vote out the other men in the game. And by the end portion of the game, Kim was positioned perfectly as everyone wanted to take her to the end. So ultimately,
The winner of Survivor One World.
Oh my god. We did just find a hidden immunity idol, but you know, it was frustrating because if we're absorbed to the same tribe, great, we can figure out a way to use it to our advantage.
it's time to break down how Denise won Survivor Philippines. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. It's crazy to think about the amazing journey Denise went on throughout this season, as she's the biggest underdog ever, going to every single tribal council. As the game started, Denise and her tight alliance Malcolm were in rough shape, being part of the infamous Mat Singh tribe that lost 4 straight challenges.
I just had this gut instinct about Malcolm. He's young, but he's wise. And instantly, we just clicked. And it was like, what are you feeling? Here's what I'm feeling. So as long as my alliance with Malcolm holds true, I'm good.
When the tribe was down to just Malcolm and Denise, they got split up. But they were able to join back together at the merge, where they both were able to make the final 4, and Malcolm was targeted for being the bigger threat. So ultimately,
The winner of Survivor Philippines.
Randall, Eddie, and Michael must not know me that well. They think that emphasizing the testosterone unity between us, and we're men and we hate women.
it's time to break down how Cochran won Survivor fans versus favorites. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Although his season wasn't well received by the community, Cochran was able to live the superfan dream by playing a perfect game of Survivor. Early on in the game, Cochran would connect with fellow tribemate Dawn, as we saw Brandon Hans go through a meltdown.
You're running the game. I took myself out of this game.
And honestly, Cochran controlled the entire game as a core player in the Stealth RS Alliance, with explosive moments after the merge.
This is supposed to be a game, so we figured we'd do something about it. And tonight we're gonna try to.
The players would ultimately run out of chances to vote Cochran out, as he would win the final 5 immunity challenge and the final 4 immunity challenge. So ultimately,
The winner of Survivor fans versus favorites. Cochran.
I'm just trying to play the game and trying to get to the end. And I told myself when Rachel left that if I was gonna stay, I had to get to the end.
it's time to break down how Tyson won Survivor Blood versus Water. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. The unique twist of players playing against loved ones saw Tyson coming into the game, giving his wife Rachel a chance at Survivor, but he snapped into game mode when she was sent home early. During the early portions of the game, Tyson was in no danger, as he created multiple pre-season alliances. However, at the merge, Tyson would turn on his pre-game alliances and take control of the game, forcing Sierra to vote out her mom.
She voted out her mom.
The biggest move Tyson made was at the final 6 with a 3-3 rock draw, where he decided not to play his hidden immunity idol. And ultimately,
The winner of Survivor Blood versus Water.
Unlike other hidden immunity idols, this idol can be played after the votes are read.
it's time to break down how Tony won Survivor Cagayan. Make no mistake about it, Tony is the GOAT, greatest of all time when it comes to Survivor winners, as he ran around the jungle finding idols and building spy shacks to start the game.
King of the jungle.
Tony would lie about anything and everything, but this was also the formation of the iconic Cops R Us alliance with Sarah Lacina.
Swear on your badge you won't turn your back on me. I swear on everything I love. I won't turn my back on you, whatever. She had me swear on my badge, which that doesn't mean anything to me swearing on my badge.
However, Tony would betray his ally Sarah at the merge in explosive fashion.
7th person voted out, the first member of our jury. Sarah.
Tony would ultimately find the powerful super idol that he would use to scare the other players with his bag of tricks. His game should have been over when he lost the final challenge, however he was able to convince Wu to keep him. So ultimately,
The winner of Survivor Cagayan.
Is the emotion more for your sister that she's out, or for you that you're alone?
It's just really hard.
It's time to break down how Natalie won Survivor Blood vs. Water, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We saw the return of the Blood vs. Water twist as Natalie would be playing Survivor with her amazing race partner and identical twin Nadia.
Nadia and Natalie took an aggressive approach on the Amazing Race, and it failed them twice.
As the game progressed, Natalie grew weaker with blindsides against her twin Nadia and close ally Jeremy. However, Natalie would eventually get her revenge on the players that betrayed her. Anyway, Natalie would go on to make another big move with an explosive idol play.
Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to vote for? I'm playing this for Jack.
So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor San Juan del Sur, Natalie.
This is what we do, baby. We do the happy dance. We do the happy dance. Are you kidding me right now?
It's time to break down how Mike won Survivor Worlds Apart. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. For the first time in Survivor history, Mike was able to win the game simply from his physical performance and dominating the challenges. Although Mike was amazing at the challenges, he wasn't the best socially as he makes a big mistake during the Survivor auction.
Mike, did you get...
He didn't do it.
Wow.
Mike was in danger of going home at the final 7. Luckily enough, he had a hidden immunity idol to protect himself. And by the end portion of the game, Mike wasn't going anywhere as he won the final 6, final 5, and final 4 immunity challenges. So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor, Mike.
Jeremy, when he needs it most, wins his first individual immunity. Guaranteed a spot at the final tribal council.
It's time to break down how Jeremy won Survivor Second Chances, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. The meat shield strategy that Jeremy utilized to win Survivor Second Chances is one of the best ideas in Survivor history.
I need Joe around as long as possible. I do not want to be the biggest guy out here.
This season was full of crazy idol plays as Savage would be idled out by Wentworth.
I'm not ready to go home yet.
Oh my God.
No way.
Don't worry though, Jeremy had 2 of his own hidden immunity idols that he would play on his ally and on himself throughout the season. By the end portion of the game, Jeremy had full motivation to win with the family visit telling him the gender of his baby coming soon. So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor Second Chance, Jeremy.
I'm putting it all on the line, and I hope that people can see that I'm not some timid girl who's glided along, but rather somebody who strategically made moves.
It's time to break down how Michelle won Survivor Co-Wrong, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We gotta be honest here, this was a controversial win as most of the fans, including Jeff Probst, wanted Aubrey to win.
And while I might not have been the flashiest person, I was the woman behind the curtain.
The scariest moment throughout the season was when Michelle's tribe member Caleb was medevaced out of the game.
All right, let's go, we need water, water, water.
Caleb, can you hear me? Caleb?
As the game continued on, Michelle was in no danger of going home, with the first time going to tribal council was at the final 10. Although being placed on the beauty tribe, Michelle had a killer social and physical game, winning the final immunity challenge.
Michelle wins individual immunity, guaranteed spot in the final 3.
And ultimately,
the winner of Survivor.
It's time to break down how Adam won Survivor Millennials versus Gen X. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Adam started the game as a crazy Survivor superfan that would lose his day 1 alliance to the very first tribal council. As the game progressed, Adam would struggle as Taylor would try to blow up Adam's game after blindsiding his showman's Figgy.
Figgy, the tribe has spoken.
And at the final 10, we saw a deadlock 5-5 tie vote, causing Adam's alliance to be sent home and placing him in a bad spot. However, he would find the majority alliance and tell Jay why he's fighting so hard to win Survivor.
I love my mom just like he does, and it's crazy because like my mom's got brain aneurysms. Me and Adam are both out here for our families, for our moms. He's not a weasel in my book anymore. He's a good freaking dude. He's a warrior.
So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor Millennials versus Gen X, Adam.
Last time I played like a cop, look where it got me. This time I'm playing like a criminal, and we'll see where it gets me.
It's time to break down how Sarah won Survivor Game Changers, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. If you don't think Sarah is a dominating Survivor winner, you are crazy, as this was a deadly performance of a good cop turned bad cop. As the game progressed, Sarah would make a crazy move, blindsiding Sierra and stealing her legacy advantage, and then using that advantage at the final 6 to take out Sari.
Sari, you want to say it?
The tribe has spoken.
By the end portion of the game, Sarah had demonstrated a crazy social game of making friends and later backstabbing them. So ultimately,
winner of Survivor Game Changers, Sarah.
Here's what happens in a tie. The person who is not tied, Laurel,
you become the 11th and final member of our jury, and you will cast the deciding vote.
It's time to break down how Wendell won Survivor Ghost Island, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Ghost Island would turn into the story of the alliance between Dom and Wendell as they would control the entire game. Wendell would be at his weakest point during the tribe swap when him and Dom got outplayed and their alliance blindsided. And at the merge, we saw a battle between Chris and Dom. However, after Dom won that battle, himself and Wendell were in control the entire way through.
Stop rapping. You're trash at rapping. You're garbage at rapping. You can't rap. You have no bars.
And at the final three, Wendell and Dom were in a tie situation, meaning Laurel would become the final juror and decide the winner. So ultimately,
Wendell. $1 million was at stake. I just let it slip away.
But a new twist in the game gave Ben one last shot to make it to the final three. Yes!
It's time to break down how Ben won Survivor Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Ben is 100% one of the most controversial Survivor winners of all time with his idol hunting. However, he started off the game strong.
A wife and 2 kids. I was in the Marine Corps.
As the game progressed, Ben would go undercover with the Minority Alliance to see what's going on. Eventually, he would be in danger, but due to hidden immunity idols, would Ben bomb his way into the endgame.
Think I'm going home? Watch this. The early bird gets a worm.
And with a surprise Final 4 fire-making twist, Ben was able to survive and make the final 3. So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor, Nick wins!
It's time to break down how Nick won Survivor David vs. Goliath. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Starting at the game, Nick was an underdog on the David tribe and was almost the first person voted out. However, he would survive and eventually make the merge where he would pull off the first ever minority split vote to send home the mayor of Slamtown.
This is the first time in Survivor history that we split the minority vote. And basically, I made a plan. We put 3 votes on John and 2 on Angelina. And that way, if the Goliaths play an idol, a Goliath is still going home, and it worked perfectly.
Don't worry, as things don't stop there, as the Davids would come together with an extra vote and idol nullifier to gain a majority over the Goliaths. By the end portion of the game, Nick was in full control, winning the final 6, final 5, and final 4 immunity challenges. So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor, David.
I am offering up my immunity necklace. Oh my. Giving it to Julie. I will be making fire against Rick Devens tonight.
It's time to break down how Chris won Survivor Edge of Extinction, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. This is 100% one of the most controversial wins in Survivor history, with Chris being voted out on day 8.
Third person voted out of Survivor. Chris, that's 4, that's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
And he would spend the entire season reflecting on his mistakes and failures on the Edge of Extinction. However, he would return to the game during the final episode by beating Joe and convincing Lauren to play her idol for him.
Chris has it! Chris has earned himself a spot back in the game!
Chris was also given an idol for himself that he would use to survive the final 5 votes. And by the end portion of the game, Chris would win the final immunity challenge, but give it up to face Rick Devens in the fire-making duel. So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor, Edge of Extinction, Chris!
Right now, I'm Lauren's wingman. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure Lauren gets that idol. So I want to get as many people I can to not play. So what are we gonna talk about all day long right now? Pancakes, syrup, bacon, coffee.
It's time to break down how Tommy won Survivor Island of the Idols. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. Survivor Island of the Idols would have Tommy play the ultimate old school game without winning challenges or finding idols.
Everything there is to know about Survivor. I mean, I wrote a book on it.
Early on in the game, Tommy would form a tight alliance with Lauren and find themselves as the swing votes. At the merge, the group went to split tribals, and although Tommy was the only dude in his group, he was able to survive. And by the end portion of the game, we saw a battle of new school versus old school Survivor with Dean versus Tommy. So ultimately,
the winner of Survivor, Tommy.
And it is over. Tony defeats Sarah.
It's time to break down how Tony won Survivor Winners at War. This is 100% the best winning game in Survivor history, as Tony is the GOAT of Survivor.
Seeing my competitors, I'm like, oh man! Fans of football, they wait all year to see the Super Bowl in the end. Fans of Survivor have been waiting 20 years to see winners at war.
He would start the game off strong with connecting with his pre-game alliance Sarah as they reform Cops R Us.
To us, I swear to God,
Cops R Us.
we bring Cops R Us back.
However, to help lower his threat level, Tony would act silly and build a ladder for everyone to climb. And Tony would fully take control of the game after the merge, with surviving the extortion advantage and winning immunity.
I'm like, yes! Yes, I'm gonna extort somebody. This advantage is playing on you.
And by the end portion of the game, Tony would be forced to face his best friend Sarah in the fire-making challenge. So ultimately,
The winner of Survivor, Winners at War, Tony. Erica wins individual immunity.
it's time to break down how Erica won Survivor 41. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. This is 100% one of the most controversial wins in Survivor history, with the fans being split on Erica's gameplay on going from the lamb to the lion.
I'm going to come back into the game like still looking like a lamb, but ready to play like a lion.
The most important alliance Erica would make all season was early on with her tribe mate Heather, and Erica was able to take out the biggest player of the season, Shan, and flush an idol all at the same tribal council.
Shan, tribe has spoken.
However, things would get emotional when Jashawn would drop a truth kamikaze on Erica and Heather later in the season. And by the end portion of the game, Erica was in no danger of going home with finding the final advantage of the season and winning the final 5 immunity challenge. So ultimately,
The winner of Survivor 41, Erica. All the rest are yours as well.
it's time to break down how Marianne won Survivor 42. And like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Marianne annoying her tribe mates and getting an extra vote,
I think I'm gonna risk my vote.
creating tension as she finds the hidden immunity idol. We then see her playing from the bottom at the merge, but the annoyingness was turning into playfulness. And on day 17, she plays her idol together with Drea, only to find another idol the next day.
I just found my second immunity idol.
This leads to my favorite part of Marianne's game as she blindsides Omer with her extra vote. And just like that,
Winner of Survivor 42, Marianne.
I'm gonna do something that's never been done in Survivor history. I'm gonna donate the entire prize to charity.
it's time to break down how Gabler won Survivor 43, and like always, we're gonna be counting down all the big moments that are found. We first get introduced to Gabler going to Shipwheel Island and earning a hidden immunity idol.
There's only been one winner over 50 of Survivor in all the seasons. So yeah, I have to take risks.
Creating tension as he wants to be voted out after losing the first immunity challenge and his tribe looks through his bag. And just before the merge, he turns into the Allie Gabler, gets everyone to vote out his nemesis Ellie, and then hides in plain sight.
Allie Gabler kind of came up to the surface, came over there. I didn't trust Ellie. We took her out. Now I plan to go underwater again and just chill and then pop back up so I'm not perceived as a threat.
Gabler is also able to pull off an amazing challenge performance describing who he is playing for. This leads to my favorite part of Gabler's story, as he will donate the entire $1 million to charity. And just like that,
The winner of Survivor 43, Gabler.
and if you want to see how I rank all the Survivor winners from worst to best, click right here.